And no single product has better capitalized on the eye-arresting power of colorful plastics than has the Wurlitzer coin-operated phonograph. Here are the cabinets again, ready for a rub-down. First by machine, and then by hand. To date, no amount of experimentation has produced a good substitute in this work for man's strong back and man's strong arm. This may be the hard way, but it is the best way. And that's the way Wurlitzer wants it. This is what's called the door trim line. Paralleling it is the cabinet trim line. This is modern mass production at its best. Along the door trim line are installed the selector trim casting, the side pilasters, the metal grill, grill plastics, record changer compartment window, and a number of other units composing the door assembly. Come to think of it, it's difficult to recall any object, unless it be a bank vault, where the door is more important to the general scheme of things than it is on a Wurlitzer jukebox. The cabinet trim line is another center for the assembly of a host of parts that flow here from all sections of the plant. Along this line, each unit acquires the decorative record changer compartment panel, the back door, the light shields, the trim castings, the speaker door, the locks, the lamps, the sockets, and many other functional and decorative features. Each one of these parts in a modern Wurlitzer contributes in its own way to either the eye appeal or the ear appeal of these instruments. It's interesting to note that the entire cabinet and door are metal framed for extra ruggedness. It's this skyscraper type of construction that has won Wurlitzer commercial phonographs their reputation for rendering long service. And if you'll pardon us for blowing our horn just one tiny toot, it's one of the reasons why Wurlitzer sells more commercial phonographs than all other manufacturers combined. Again, that ever-recurring job, inspection. Does it pass the technician's test? It must. And when it does, it's ready for final assembly. But hold on. To date, it's only a shell. Couldn't play a note. Into it must go myriad parts and sub-assemblies from the metalworking division. And that's where we're headed now. Every day, large quantities of brass, steel, and aluminum arrive at Wurlitzer's North Tonawanda plant. Immediately, they are tested for thickness, hardness, and chemical structure, and then placed in stock to meet the requirements of the metalworking division. Here's a look-see into that division. What a beehive of activity with Beehive Drone magnified a couple of million times. Hard to realize that the end result of all this noise is music. Sweet music, jazz music, jive music, swing music, good music, providing fun for folks of all ages. But getting back to the raw materials, they must first be cut and formed to required shapes and sizes, and often to tolerances as close as 5/10,000ths of an inch. In metalworking, as in woodworking, Wurlitzer has set its standards of quality, and believe me, they're sky high. The men not only check parts for the phonograph, they check the gauges, which are used to check the parts. But in metalworking, as in woodworking, you'll find some operations best done by hand. Tool making and die sinking, for example, are still largely a craftsmanship business with human brain and the human hand coordinating. Yet, occasionally, the tool maker's craftsmanship must extend into realms of accuracy beyond the power of the craftsman. $10,000 for this jig borer. It must be mounted in concrete to dead level accuracy. It may not bore 3 holes an hour, but the millionth inch accuracy of those few holes assures the accuracy of hundreds of thousands of phonograph parts. Dies, over $500,000 worth, are used to produce the current model Wurlitzer phonograph. Yes, it takes money as well as men and machines to win and hold Wurlitzer leadership. While we're here, let's look around and see what makes this division tick. Here's a battery of automatics. They're knocking out small parts, nuts, bolts, bushings that go into a phonograph. You'd hardly notice them, but unless they're right, the phonograph would not play. Let's look closely at one of these automatics. It takes a bar of metal and feeds it, spots it, drills it, recesses it, taps it, chamfers it, and cuts it off. Turret lathes, batteries of them, turning out more and more Wurlitzer parts. With modern equipment like this, Wurlitzer is independent of outside sources of supply. And with equipment of this kind, Wurlitzer has consistently turned out phonographs that have been the envy of the industry. Phonographs that get and hold the best locations because their music appeals most to the public. Phonographs that stand the gap in service and require less service because they are first expertly engineered and next precision built by modern methods to the original specifications. Whether it's applying felt-like covering to a phonograph record tray from a bare disc to a finished disc in one operation, or heat treating the latest alloys by new heat treat techniques, or plating with zinc and copper for protection, or with bright nickel, chromium and cadmium for appearance, Wurlitzer has the experience, the equipment, the facilities, and the men to do the job. And now, before we leave metalworking, here's something as new as television. Heliarc welding, a fast, dependable method of joining metals never before possible to weld. It utilizes intense heat generated by high-frequency electric current and argon gas. It produces in a split second a joint without distorting or destroying the surrounding metal. Heliarc welding is used in constructing the front door on Wurlitzer phonographs and is one more proof that in metalworking, as in woodworking, Wurlitzer sets the pace of progress. So far, you've seen a cabinet made. We've given you a quick look at the metalworking division and what its work involves. But the work that goes into a Wurlitzer is far from finished. Another whole division now comes into play. Assembly. Here you will see something of what goes into a Wurlitzer cabinet before it becomes a phonograph. In assembly, Wurlitzer inspection increases vigilance. This specially built test set examines the heart and blood pressure of a transformer. Matter of fact, Wurlitzer maintains its own test equipment laboratory. Here, new types of test equipment are devised, and where specialized equipment can't be purchased outside, are built right here in this special test equipment laboratory. And now, getting back to assembly. These girls are wiring, soldering, and riveting thousands and thousands of small parts that become amplifiers, volume controls, and other units of the electrical circuit. Maybe you don't think it takes plenty of training to know your way around this maze of wires, or to understand the intricate wiring diagrams from which these people work. Looks almost hopeless, but never fear, everything will come out all right. It's planned that way, in advance, by design and engineering. All of the Wurlitzer phonographs you have seen are basically designed to handle auxiliary equipment, of which wall boxes like these are typical. They are built, as are auxiliary speakers, right here in this plant. Together they compose what Wurlitzer calls engineered music systems. Their purpose? To make Wurlitzer music more accessible, more enjoyable wherever you go. Here's one boy who puts money into a Wurlitzer all day long and gets it back again. It's another example of Wurlitzer inspection. This chap is testing with actual coins, the coin-actuated mechanism of a wall box. Will it operate quickly, accurately? Will it stand hard use? It's built to, and it will, or it will never pass this boy, and he's a tough customer to please. What's this? It's the record changer production line. This is the device that produces the particular records you indicate you want played when you deposit your coin. Like everything else on a Wurlitzer, it's built for heavy duty, maximum service, and the production of mighty fine music. Want proof? Then look at this. There are 24 record trays on this stack. The space washers that operate these trays must be accurate to 1/10,000th of an inch. It takes 10 separate finishing operations to mill them to that accuracy. The slightest error on one washer, and the phonograph could not play. But some 300,000 Wurlitzers are playing every day. Again, a tribute to the accuracy and quality of Wurlitzer engineering and production. And now we're coming to the end result. Those piles of lumber and steel and plastics, those days and weeks and months of designing and engineering. Here they culminate in a crescendo of color, action, and glorious music. A finished Wurlitzer phonograph. What? Another inspection? This one's called the life test. It's a whole series of inspections, checkups, run-ins, with one aim. Is this instrument up to Wurlitzer's standards of quality? Is it worthy of bearing the name that means music to millions? These tests and one more tell the story. And that one more is tone. In these soundproof rooms, inspectors, whose most important asset is their ears, listen to every Wurlitzer. Listen for tone distortion. Listen and judge. Listen and adjust. Listen for that clarity, that sparkle, that living, breathing tone that is Wurlitzer music. That's musical fun for everyone. Pack it, ship it, send it on its way with the thousands before it, and thousands to come to entertain America. Now, before we give you a little look-see at another Wurlitzer product, let's take a minute or two to talk about Wurlitzer workers. They find this a pleasant plant in which to work for a great many reasons. You've already seen some of those reasons. Here are some more. Take the restrooms. They're a long way from the dank, dingy, disinfectant-laden dungeons that used to be. Here at Wurlitzer, they're clean, spacious, light, modern in every respect. Take the food facilities. A varied menu of appetizing, nourishing food is available to employees and brought directly to them by ingenious food wagons. They may eat at their machines or benches in allotted lunch areas, or when the weather's right, they can eat out of doors on the spacious lawns that surround the plant. Twice daily, a siren signals a 10-minute rest period, when a chap can have himself a smoke or a Coke, or when a gal can make with the makeup or swap some girlish gossip. It all makes for good industrial relations, and so do the first aid and safety departments. Here, a safety committee composed of labor and management representatives meet regularly in the interests of accident prevention. And here, in the first aid department, employees who do suffer illness or accident are attended by a staff of registered nurses. In sum, here at Wurlitzer, good working conditions are provided by a company ever mindful that its workers are human beings. In return, the men and women of Wurlitzer maintain the traditional American idea of making an honest effort for a just reward. The Wurlitzer electronic organ, hailed as music's richest voice, another product produced in this plant. Embracing fine Wurlitzer craftsmanship, this instrument is designed for churches, mortuaries, institutions, and homes. Occupying no more room than a small grand piano, it reproduces inspiring, majestic music long associated with the range, volume, and tonal perfection of great pipe organs. This is the Wurlitzer organ preamplifier under test. Look at the complicated electrical circuits in that little box. Wurlitzer's precision methods and quality control are just as evident here as they are in phonograph production. Expert craftsmen install the reeds. The Wurlitzer organ achieves its superb tonal beauty by using free reeds, not as a direct source of tone, but as a source of harmonic structure. These harmonics are then selected, modified, and translated electronically into audible organ tones. Now the keys are installed. And here is the Wurlitzer organ in all its majesty. Another tribute to Wurlitzer quality. And now, a concluding word from Vice President and Plant Manager, Carl Johnson.
No visit to Wurlitzer would be complete without a word from two other men. I'm going to call on one of them now, E.R. Wergler, our General Sales Manager.
Music is a universal language, spoken and understood by all people of all races, creeds, and ages. Music is our business. We are America's largest and best-known producer of jukeboxes. Through our DeKalb, Illinois plant, we're also the nation's largest manufacturer of pianos and accordions sold under one name. Truly, Wurlitzer is a name that means music to millions. And now a word from our Vice President and Director of Sales, Mike Hammergren.
Yes, Wurlitzer means music to millions, and we aim to keep it that way, to maintain our leadership by the same means with which we won it. Close adherence to the highest possible quality standards. It's been a pleasure through this film to have you visit our North Tonawanda plant and show you what goes into our products in the way of cost, care, craftsmanship, and quality. Whether it be a Wurlitzer piano or an accordion in your home, a Wurlitzer organ in your church, or a Wurlitzer phonograph in your favorite refreshment center, it will be the type and kind of music it should be at its best.